So if you have a pension and you're wondering how am I going to get additional income beyond my pension, then that's what we're going to talk about today. Or you may be the person who says, well, I don't need income because my pension and Social Security may cover everything. Well, then we're going to talk about what you need to be aware of if that's you as well. And so that's what we have in store of today's episode of Joe Knows Retirement.
Joe knows taxes.
Joe knows the market.
Joe knows Social Security.
Joe knows income planning.
Joe knows pickleball? No.
This is Joe Knows Retirement.
So my name is Joe Schmitz. If you're not familiar with myself, or this is maybe your first time you're watching this video, we have a retirement planning firm based here in Columbus, Ohio. We work with clients all across the country, and we specialize in serving what we call the Midwestern Millionaire. And this is actually a concept that I'm writing a book on, and this is something that is, someone who's hardworking. They've been frugal. The majority of these people have pensions that we talk to, and so with this is going to be something that, if that's you, this video, this content is going to be very helpful for you as you plan your retirement, because that's who we talk about in these videos specifically. So let's just first start about this concept from a high level. And so if you think about pensions, that's a guaranteed income stream for life. And as you know, when you get to retirement, you typically have some options of, should you take the lump sum, should you do the survivorship options? Those are all things that you definitely want to think about in depth. And we have other videos on this concept as well. But just make sure you're making those decisions very diligently, because obviously you can only make them one time. And we have so many people who come work with us from this YouTube channel who basically say, I can't make this mistake, I need professional help. And that's where we can really come in to help them ensure they don't make a mistake there, so they can enjoy that next 10, 20, 30, 40 years of their retirement knowing they made that right decision up front. And so that's really the main thing with that. Understand, if you do take the lump sum, then maybe you're going to have to create your own income stream, and that can be something that worries people. And we would tell some people that, hey, it's probably not worth doing it. Your pension's so attractive, that monthly guaranteed monthly payout. Maybe we don't want to take the lump sum, but there is often times where taking the lump sum could be advantageous for them, because what you can do with that lump sum is you could take that and you could structure it in a different way and potentially get a higher income payout, by doing it on your own versus by doing it with what the pension's guaranteed you. Remember, a lot of pension funds are underfunded. They may not be as likely to give you as much of a benefit than doing it elsewhere. And so just always keep that consideration. Always keep your options open. Don't just, make a one-sided decision and say, well, I've expected this pension, I've heard it's great, I'm just going to do that. Always explore your options. You may not take the lump sum, but explore what it looks like, just so you can have that peace of mind and confidence to know you made the right decision moving forward. And obviously, a lot of pensions, you may have a pension where you can take a partial lump sum, and that's something we've also seen clients do. And now they can take a partial lump sum to do what they want to as well. And one of the other advantageous parts of that is that, hey, if you pass away tomorrow, that money could go to not only your spouse but your kids, and so it's just more in your name versus in the pension fund. So there is some pensions that certainly could run out. I'm not sure how your pension's funded, but there is a majority of them that are well funded, and not something that I would tell you to stress about or worry about. But it is something that could happen, obviously. And so that's a consideration there. And then on the survivor option, just understand, if you were to take a survivor option for a spouse, well, you're going to lose income from your monthly pension, ongoing. And so that could be something that definitely makes sense, right? Our first consideration with that is the spouse going to be good to go or not? We're not going to leave the spouse, not good to go by not taking a survivorship option if that's what's needed to make that plan successful. But with a lot of clients we work with, they've been such good diligent savers, they could go away with the survivorship option, which gives them much more, which can typically be $500, $1,000 more a month that they can have in their pockets. And then if they pass, there's completely enough money there for that spouse to continue on. But you have to run the analysis to see if that's even a possibility or not. Some other people take that, for example, $500, $1,000 a month, they take a chunk of that and maybe they buy life insurance so they can even insure even more that spouse is good to go if something happens. And then, if that spouse passes first, or maybe they both pass, then that payout could still go to kids or someone else. It is a consideration. So as you know, with all of those strategic, taking the lump sums, there's a lot to it. And again, just make sure you're making the the right decision there. And I bring that up to start the video because that's always going to determine what that pension income is first. And that's one of the first things we always have to understand when we do income planning with a pension is what is that pension payout going to be? Is it $40,000? Is it going to be $100,000? And that's going to dictate what we do with the rest of the plan, right? When we build financial plans, we really start with the pension. This is an area that we specialize in. Many of our clients have pensions, and so because of that, we have specific processes built out for those with pensions. I mean, we have proprietary pension software that we utilize to help us make decisions with that. When we do tax planning, when we're looking at things like Roth conversion or Medicare premium planning or Social Security tax planning, we're always taking into account that pension and what that is going to put them at first before all of those other things pile on. And so if that's you, just understand the importance of your pension and how much that can impact your situation. As I always say, you may have been told you'll be in a lower tax bracket in retirement, and that could be true for many people, but those with pension, that's typically not the case. You're typically in the same bracket or a higher bracket. And just remember, you're part of the 20% that have a pension, and so your situation is going to be more unique. And especially if you saved $1 million or more, which is what this channel is for, then you're going to find yourself not only pension, but also investment income on top of that, and RMDs, required minimum distributions. You're going to be forced to take out that at age 73, and so all of those things are going to play together there. And so, let's say we start with the pension, $40,000, $100,000, whatever that may be. Let's just say it's $50,000 for example's sake today. Well, is that going to be enough for you to live on or not? And you may joke, some of you may joke, but we literally have clients who are so frugal. Again, the Midwestern Millionaire, that's what it's all about. They're the best savers, but the worst spenders, right? They've done such a good job over time. They never made huge incomes in the past, but they just always lived below their means, and they're always diligent about saving. And they found themselves at this point with $1 million or more, and they can be very, very frugal. And so a lot of times with those people, we're telling them, hey, you can spend more money. It's okay to go spend more money. And that's something we often have to tell them. But if you say, hey, I can live on $50,000 without any issues, well, then you probably don't need to worry about getting income from your investments or other areas. At that point, if that's really what you want to do, we would challenge our clients in that scenario to say, all right, what are we going to do with this money then if you're no longer here? If you don't want to spend it, then we're going to have to figure out a gifting plan or a giving plan to ensure that your money is used the way you want it. Because you can't take this money with you when you pass away. There's no U-Haul behind your hearse when you head to the graveyard. It's just simply got to go somewhere. And so if you want to give it to your kids, maybe you just give it to them when you pass away. Although there's some people out there that they prefer gifting it now so they can actually see it used, right? You work so hard for all this money, you may want to see it be used. How the kid's going to use it, right? Are they going to use it on a down payment on a beautiful home? Are they going to use it for the kid's education? Are they going to use it to do a home improvement? Being able to use it during their time of the year, that they're at this stage of life where they maybe could use it the most, maybe something that's important to you. Or you could gift it to the grandkids, right? And now you can see them start a business or fund their Roth IRAs at an early age. There's just a lot of considerations that you can be aware of at that time. Or maybe you want to be more charitable minded. We have some clients that come see us where we first see them and they say, hey, we're giving to a charity, but we'd be open to more if it makes sense. And then when we're able to tell them, well, I mean, it's up to you if it makes sense, but based on your situation, I mean, you can be a lot more generous and still meet all of your goals without any consideration. So maybe that's your goal, to give more, and that could be now, or maybe when you pass away, you're be able to leave more money to a charity, and maybe it's the type of impact where you leave $100,000 to a charity, and now they're thinking about putting a statue of you out in front because it made that much of an impact, especially if you're supporting small charities, that can go such a far way. And so just consider the impact of what you do with that money, whether it is gifting to family or giving to charities. It's just got to be whatever's dear to your heart there. But that's the conversation we have with so many of our clients if they are in that position where we don't need more money. We're like, Joe, if you give us more money, we're not even going to want to spend it because we just don't get joy from spending money. We get joy from saving and just getting the best deal and being diligent. And I talk about my mom all the time, and she's the type of person, where she will not buy blueberries at the store unless they're on sale. And I can tell her, I can say, Mom, just go buy the blueberries. You have enough money. Like everything's going to be good. But she's like, well, I know I can, but it just doesn't give me joy, right? She loves to shop around and get the best deal and walk out of the store knowing she saved $3, right? That's just her. That's what got her here, and that's who she is, and that's fine. And so for her, maybe it's more of gifting or giving versus spending. right? So it's just for you to decide what you want to do. But as you can imagine, a lot of our clients say, "Oh no, we'll spend more. We'll definitely spend more. We can get over this. We can do this, right?" And so we had a client recently. They went on a 4-month trip, cruise trip. It cost $75,000, and that was their definition of, "Hey, I'm going to enjoy this money that I've worked so hard for." So whatever that may be for you, my biggest advice is just make sure you consider it. So back to the idea of our income, and so if you do have your income covered by pension, that's when you can start thinking about what I just talked about. But let's say you need $100,000 to live on and you've got a $50,000 pension. Well, you first then have to decide, are you going to get Social Security or not, right? That's going to depend on the situation. Some people with pension don't get it. Others get it. Good news for us all. If you have a pension, you get, windfall elimination provision. Looks like it's going away. GPO going away, and so you could have more of an opportunity to get additional money from Social Security there as well. So make sure you're writing those calculations. Make sure you file for that if that is an opportunity, if you haven't been getting that in the past there. And so that's just something that could make sense for you as well. And so, let's say Social Security gets us up to $80,000. Well, we still have a $20,000 gap here, as you can see. And so because of that, we're going to have to typically go to our investments, or you could work, right? You can always work part-time at that time, or maybe you're still working full-time, you just enjoy what you're doing. But that is something I think is worth a conversation here when it comes to income planning and retirement, is that if you don't have to take any income from your investments, and you can get it from a part-time job or from a full-time job, that's going to really allow your investments to grow over time, because you're not taking any distributions. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. You could also be a little more growth oriented on your investments if you're not expecting to take out money, because now you're not worried about sequence of returns risk, right? If the market goes down once, that's one loss. And then if you take out money, that's two losses. Well, you're not worried about that if you're not taking out income. You're only worried about the one loss, but we all know that can come back over time if we just are patient with that. So I'm not encouraging anyone here to work, but I am encouraging to think about, some people that we work with when they retire, they're just thinking, what's next, right? They enjoy typically doing something else, whether it's part-time that they can enjoy that has flexible hours so they can still do all the things they want to in retirement. And so, a lot of you that we see that come from our channel, you don't need to work at all. You've got enough money. Your pension is very generous. You've got, you've got generous investments. You may not have to work at all, but I'm thinking about it more so from a joyful standpoint. Does it give you purpose? Does it give you something to wake up? Does it get you around people to keep that social, part of your life alive? And so that's where a lot of people we see work part-time even if they don't need to. But understand financially, it makes sense. Now you can give more, gift more, you can spend more, and it can do so more comfortably. So just some considerations there as well. But let's go back to the concept of how we're going to get that $20,000. Well, we have to take it out from the investments, right? And so I kind of talked about this and teased it just a few minutes ago, but we do want to be aware of how we're investing our money if we are going to have to get additional income from our retirement and from our retirement savings. And so if you're going to take out $20,000, save $1 million, you want to take out $20,000, well, that's only a 2% withdrawal rate. There's not really any concern of you running out of money in that scenario. And a lot of you have probably heard of the 4% rule. The 4% rule says that you can take out 4% from your $1 million each year in retirement, and that will adjust for inflation. So each year you can take out more, and you won't necessarily risk running out of money. That should last you a 30-year retirement. And there's a lot of people that can put holes in the 4% rule and say that it won't work. And I'm here to tell you that regardless of the situation, it's a rule of thumb. Don't trust your retirement on it, but it is a rule of thumb that gives you an idea as you think and brainstorm about your retirement what that would be. We follow more of a guardrails type approach where if the market's down, well, maybe we don't take out as much. If the market's up, well, we can take out more. And it's just all about tracking it each year. We don't just say you can only take out this much per year for the rest of your life and we can't make any changes. That's extremely cookie cutter and does not work. Each year we reevaluate with our clients how much would make sense to take out. And sometimes our clients may want to take out 10% of their assets in that first year retirement as an example. And, what are we going to tell them? 4% rule says you can't do that. You can't do that. No, it's all about being flexible, right? Maybe they take out 10% that first year. Maybe the second year they take out 0. Well, it all works out in the end if you just are planning and aware of the circumstances. But you do have to be aware of that sequence of returns risk that I mentioned earlier, and just making sure that you're not taken out from a down market. So maybe it's a down market. Maybe you want to be more aggressive with your portfolio and it's a down market. Well, maybe you either just take out less during that time, or maybe don't take out anything at all and wait for the market to come up. Or maybe you just take more of a conservative approach with your income planning and investment planning by simply just having that portion protected. So if the market goes down, you're not worried about it. You've got that portion of money saved, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, maybe if you're really conservative, 10 years of income that you can just always go to and know it's there. You just want to make sure you're getting a reasonable rate of return on that money. And with interest rates where they are right now, I mean, you can get a reasonable rate of return with taking little risk or no risk at all on that type of vehicle. And so if that's your goal, just understand that you just have to make sure you have that planning in place of where you're going to go to get these funds. And also the other consideration is, what's the tax impact? I mean, that's one of the biggest considerations people with pension have, is the tax impact in retirement. You are a higher income earner in retirement because of your pension and all these other things playing on top of that, which means you need to plan ahead of that. And so if you can have flexibility of where you take this income from your investments with a pension, is going to really set you ahead and really allow you to spend more money or give more money, because you can pay less taxes, right? It's not how much you take, right? It's how much you keep, right? If you take out $100,000 from your investments, but you have to pay a 30% in taxes, well, you only get to keep $70,000. Well, what if we can change that from taking out $100,000 and only pay 15% taxes? Well, now we have an $85,000. And so that's what this is all about when you do tax efficient income planning. This is an area we specialize in. We actually have people that come to us, like for this point, almost alone, of how do we plan for this income and make it last as long as possible and give us more to spend, is ultimately the idea. So, what that looks like is just understanding the different different ways you can have your investments. You can have them in a taxable investment where you have to pay capital gains. You could have it in tax deferred, where these are the investments where you put in up front, you got a tax deduction, but when you pull out in the future, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. And that's one that can be a huge burden for those with a pension, because they're probably going to find themselves in the same bracket or higher in the future. When you force money from this bucket, now it's going to force your income higher. Now you're going to have more tax consequences that come with that. And then the other bucket's simply a tax-free bucket, such as a Roth IRA, for example. And in this bucket, if you take out money, there's no tax. And so typically people with pensions are definitely favoring this bucket. And now it's just a conversation of how do we strategically get more to that bucket in a smart way, because obviously most people have their money in tax deferred right now, very little in tax free. And so we just have to prepare for that and plan for that. And so you can do things like Roth conversions, where you shift money from here to here. Just want to be very strategic about that. You probably don't want to do that all in one year, obviously, but we've got plenty of videos on this YouTube channel talking about Roth conversions, talking about who it makes sense for, who it doesn't, what are the things to look out for. And that's typically one of the more popular strategies that we're seeing right now with those with pensions in or near retirement. So hopefully that gives you a guide there of how to produce income, if you have a pension, or, what to do if you maybe don't need income if you have a pension. So if you like these videos, go ahead and like and subscribe to these videos. We're going to keep them coming. And, we just hope to be a resource for you, especially if you have a pension, have $1 million or more saved. That's who this channel is for. And so if you don't mind leaving comments in below, I always love to hear what content do you want to hear. I look at the comments. I try to produce content that's going to, give you what you are looking for. And so if that's what if you have a certain topic or an idea that you want me to talk about, put it down there and I'll definitely do a video. The best ones are like questions like, hey, Joe, what should I do under this circumstance? And then I can just rattle off what we would typically tell a client in that scenario. So use that to your advantage, and we'll keep the content coming, and go ahead and like and subscribe, and they'll come your way. So we'll see you soon.